All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, talking about what BOZY Ennis, the trainer, manager, and father of one of the best young fighters in boxing, Jaron Boots Ennis, has to say about what they think is going to happen next for Jaron Ennis, and that is potentially a fight between either Keith Thurman or Roman Villa. And also, they gave a little bit more news on what's happening next as they found and go the way of the Floyd Mayweather Jr. blueprint. Before I get into the details of it, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And also, if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It really, really does mean a lot. And thank you to everybody that supports, and the super thanks of the videos. Absolutely means a ton. Great way to sponsor channels that you support. Shout out to everybody that donated on the videos yesterday. I've yet to go through my comments today, but I will get to them. And thank you so, so much for your continued support. It really does mean a lot. But let's get into this, because hopefully we're going to have some fights coming up in the welterweight division. As we all know, that there's a big fight that is in negotiations, has been in negotiations for like a year, between the guys that hold all the belts in the 147-pound division, specifically Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford. And as you know, there's several other very good fighters in that division who are waiting on these guys to figure out what they're going to do so that they can continue to fight and set up fights. And the main guy for me is the excellent contender out of the IBF interim champion out of Philadelphia, Jaron Ennis. In a recent interview, and shout out to, I think it was Hardcore Boxing News, but shout out to the people that did the interview, if it wasn't YSM Sports Media. They talked to BOZY Ennis, and BOZY Ennis talked about what's next for Jaron, and he said that it could be a Keith Thurman fight or a Roman Villa fight, depending on whether or not, again, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford decide what they're going to do. If Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford fight, it's implied that the most likely fight then for Jaron Ennis would be Keith Thurman. And also, Jaron Ennis, for his part, stated, look, that he doesn't believe that he's a co-main event fighter anymore. He believes that he is a main event fighter now. And so that's why you're not going to be seeing him on the Gervonta Davis undercard, or if the Errol Spence Terrence Crawford fight takes place, you're not going to see him in the penultimate, I think that's what the word is, the penultimate fight, which is the fight right before the last fight. You're not going to see him in that. You're going to see him in his own cards that he will headline. And on top of that, they founded, I'm not sure what the promotional company is, whether it's Ennis Promotions or Boots Promotions. Please forgive me for not having the name, but they've also founded their own promotional company. Now, I don't know if that means that Jaron Ennis is no longer going to be promoted by Cameron Duncan. As you know, there's other situations like Gervonta Davis and GTD Promotions, and he had GTD Promotions when he was still officially promoted by Floyd Mayweather. So I'm not sure what the deal is there, but I like the deal. I like it because honestly, man, it really is time. And one of the things that BOZY Ennis said in his interview, I really agree with, which is that what's going on at the top of the weight division between Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford, I understand that really is the big fight that everybody wants to see. And, you know, it is a fight that Errol Spence Jr. really wants. People say Terrence Crawford wants it. I have a hard time really getting that pat through my head that he really wants it based on the things that he said out of his mouth. Like, I'm past it. I don't really see the fight happening. I don't need the fight. When people say those type of things, I tend to think, hey, man, maybe he's past it. Maybe he doesn't need to fight, you know. But hey, that's just my crazy logic. But whatever the case is, it's a big fight. But at this point in time, it really is time for these guys to find out what they're going to do. If they're not going to do the fight, if they're going to do the fight, do the fight. If they're not going to do the fight, don't do the fight. But let these other guys in the division have chances to build their name. Because while Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford is definitely a big fight, and I maintain that it is still the biggest fight in boxing, especially if they officially announce it, right? They officially announce it, and they officially do. In that particular fight, in my opinion, is going to need a press tour. Not because it would have needed a press tour before, like the Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis fight really doesn't need one other than like 2 quick cities. But just for everybody to believe the fight is actually going to take place, you're going to actually have to see these guys on stage. But this fight is holding up other guys in that division because it's not the only big fight that can be made, right? It's not the only, and it's not, but if they keep holding on, the other fights are not going to be able to, you know, they're not going to be able to grow and have people look at these guys and fight. That's one of the things that's bad about the Errol Spence Jr., the amount of inactivity that Errol Spence Jr. has. Now, I understand his inactivity based on the car accidents and eye injuries and things like that. That right there is, you can't avoid that. This right here can be avoided. Terrence Crawford inactivity, basically fighting once a year. That can be avoided, right? And that's what I'm saying is like, it's time to let guys like Jaron Ennis, Roman Villa, older guys like Keith Thurman, if he's going to stay at the weight class. I don't care what people say about Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is a solid, very good fighter. But at the very least, if they can't fight for the belts, they can fight each other. And we have an opportunity to see really good fights. The one thing that has been good about this year, that was good about the first half of last year, was that there's a lot of fights. I mean, a lot of fights, like weekend after weekend after weekend. And in this particular year, I think we've got fights going all the way up and through June, right? Pretty much from January all the way through June. There's been very, very good fights. But however, there's just not been them in that particular weight class. And that's what I think really makes boxing more interesting, is when week in and week out, you're getting good fights, whether it's a David Benavidez and Caleb Plant fight at 168. No, there was no Canelo Alvarez involved in that, but there was a lot of excitement for that fight. Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia. But at the same time, you're also going to get fights like Puello and Rolly Romero. You're also going to get fights like Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor. You got the Shakur Stevenson just fought. You get Devin Haney versus Lomachenko. And, you know, from the point of view of a guy that's a fan of the welterweight division, I'm kind of with BOZY Ennis on this, man. Ish or get off the pot. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's what he said. It's either going to be Keith Thurman or Roman Villa. I'll take either one as long as I get one of them. But what I think it's more than likely to happen is probably Roman Villa, because I don't believe Terrence Crawford in this, because every report that comes out about the fight getting done gets shot down right away. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out.